The wind howled like a wild beast outside. Snow blew hard across the rocky ground, covering the old path to Jaren's cabin. No one ever came out here, not anymore. Jaren sat near the heater, holding a cup of warm broth. His small home was silent, except for the wind pushing against the windows. He lived alone on the edge of the old colony, far from others, far from trouble. That's why the sound shocked him. Knock, knock. Jaren froze. He turned his head toward the door. Maybe it was the wind. He waited, his fingers curled tighter around his cup. Knock, knock. It wasn't the wind. Jaren stood slowly and reached for his old blaster. His boots crunched against the wooden floor. No one should be here. Not in this. Whether or not this late. He opened the door just a little. Cold air rushed in. Snow swirled at his feet, and then he saw her. A woman, no, an alien woman stood in the snow. She was tall and thin, wrapped in torn cloth. Her skin shimmered slightly in the moonlight, a soft pale blue. Her eyes, wide and shining, were filled with fear. In her arms she held a child. The girl looked sick. She coughed weakly, her lips dry and cracked. Jaren stared, unsure what to do. But before he could speak, the woman whispered in a soft, shaking voice, "If I warm your bed, will you let us stay?" He blinked. Her accent was strange, but her words were clear. Jaren looked at her again. She wasn't begging for romance or pleasure. Her body trembled too much for that. She was freezing, starving, and her child looked close to death. He stepped aside and opened the door wider. "Come in," he said. She nodded once and stepped inside slowly. The child in her arms didn't even lift her head. Jaren shut the door behind them and turned up the heater. "Sit down." "Over there," he said, pointing to the bed near the fire. The woman walked slowly to it, her legs barely holding her up. She laid the child down first, then sat beside her. She didn't speak again. She just stared at the flames, her arms shaking. Jaren watched her carefully. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked at him, eyes filled with caution. "Lyra." He nodded. "I'm Jaren." The child coughed again, and Lyra reached for her. "Zelly," she said, touching the girl's forehead. Jaren opened a small cabinet and pulled out some dried food and water. He handed them to Lyra. "Thank you," she said, bowing her head. Jaren had many questions. Why was she here? Where had she come from? But he could see she was too weak to talk. "I'll get more blankets," he said. He covered them both as best as he could. The little girl looked barely alive. Her skin was hot but dry. Lyra held her close, trying to share her body heat. Later that night, Jaren lay on the other side of the bed. He was the only one in the cabin. Lyra lay near the edge, holding her daughter. There was space between them, but not much. The heater hummed softly. Snow tapped the window. Outside, the storm grew stronger, but inside it was warm. Jaren couldn't sleep. Lyra's breathing was soft. She didn't move much, just held her child close, like she was afraid Zelly might disappear. He watched them in the dark. Something wasn't normal. Lyra's skin wasn't. Just cold. It almost shimmered, like moonlight on ice. "Okay?" And the girl's liad eyes that weren't fully closed. Faint glow leaked through her lids. Strange, unnatural, but Jaren didn't feel fear. He felt something else. Like he needed to protect them. Maybe it was because he knew what it was like to be alone, forgotten. The world outside didn't care if someone like him vanished. And clearly, it didn't care about them either. Jaren finally whispered, "Why were you out there?" Lyra didn't open her eyes, but she answered, "No place left. No one helped. They said we're nothing." Jaren didn't reply. He just stared at the ceiling. Lyra spoke again, voice softer than before. "You helped. You opened door. No one else did." Jaren turned his head to look at her. Her eyes were open now. She looked tired, honest, grateful. "You and the girl can stay tonight," he said. "Just tonight." Lyra nodded. "Tonight is enough." She reached out slowly, not to touch him, but to pull the blanket over Zelly better. Her hand brushed his arm. Her touch was cold, but not dead. She was alive. Barely. Jaren closed his eyes. Sleep came slowly. But before it did, he heard the child whisper something in a language he didn't know. A language. It sounded ancient. The morning sun barely touched the snow outside. It was pale, quiet to quiet. Jaren opened his eyes slowly, his muscles sore from sleeping in one position. The heater buzzed beside the bed, still running, but something felt different. The bed was empty. Lyra and the girl were gone. He shot up, heart pounding, his eyes. Scanned the room, no blood. No signs of a struggle. It's just the empty space where they'd slept. Then he heard it, a soft crash. From the kitchen, Jaren moved quickly, blaster in hand. He stepped into the small kitchen, ready for anything. But what he saw made him pause. Lyra was there, her back to him, trying to open a sealed food container. Her fingers trembled, and her movements were slow, unsure. She clearly didn't understand how the tools worked. Her daughter sat nearby, wrapped in blankets. Watching her mother with half-closed, glowing eyes, Jaren lowered the weapon. "You're up early," Lyra turned quickly, startled. Her body was thinner than he remembered. Her skin looked better in the morning light, still a soft, pale blue, but not as sickly. Her lips were dry and cracked, and her hair was tangled, but she looked real, fragile, alive. "I wanted to make food," she said, voice slow but clear. "For thanks. You almost dropped my only pot." She gave a small, guilty smile. "Sorry, I never used human tools." Jaren walked over and helped her open the container. "Sit down. I'll make something." Lyra sat beside her daughter again, her arms wrapped tightly around the child, who hadn't spoken yet. "What's wrong with her?" Jaren asked, pouring broth into a pan. "She's weak. Her body. Not stable? Not stable?" Lyra looked down at the floor. "She's not full alien, not full anything." Jaren frowned. "What do you mean?" Lyra was silent for a moment. Then she finally said it. "She was born in a lab." Lab. Lyra nodded. "My people did tests. Long ago. Mixed blood. Mixed genes. Human and alien. Thought it would make stronger children? And it worked?" Lyra said. "Most died. Some were dangerous. Only few lived. My daughter is one." Jaren stared at the child. Zelly looked peaceful, but her glowing eyes told a different story. "Why are you running?" he asked. "From who?" Lyra's face darkened. "Soldiers. Not mine anymore. They kill mothers like me. Kill children like her. Why? They fear her. She is not just child. Change things. Things they don't want changed." Jaren said nothing. He stirred the broth slowly, trying to keep his hands from shaking. Zelly coughed again. This time it didn't sound like a normal cough. It was deep, sharp-like. Something inside her chest was too strong to stay quiet. Lyra held her tighter. "She needs a healer," she said. "But I can't go to cities. They know me. They will take her." Jaren placed the pot on the table. The steam rose slowly, warming the room even more. "She can stay," he said quietly. "Both of you can. For now." Lyra looked up. Her eyes softened. "You trust us." "I don't trust anyone," he said. "But I believe you're telling the truth." There was a long silence. Then Zelly stirred. A small hand reached out from the blanket and touched the table. A spoon beside her began to rattle. Jaren blinked. The spoon lifted into the air just a little. It hovered there for 2 seconds, then dropped. Lyra didn't look surprised. Jaren, however, stepped back. "She did that." Lyra nodded. "She doesn't know how. It happens when she's scared or sick. That's not just half human. It's something else." "I know," Lyra whispered. "That's why they want her gone." Outside, the wind picked up again. A dark cloud moved across the sun. Shadows fell across the windows. Jaren looked at the girl. She had gone still again, her eyes half closed. "She doesn't just glow," he said. "She's dangerous." Lyra met his gaze. "She's not dangerous to you. She likes you." Jaren felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. "Why me?" "I don't know," Lyra said softly. But when she touched her hand last night, her body calmed, her breathing slowed. She connected with you. Maybe she feels safe. Jaren stared at the child. She was still too small, too fragile, but the air around her felt heavy, strange. Like something was waiting to wake up. Then dash thump. A sound from outside. Heavy. Close. Lyra grabbed Zelly and pulled her close. Joran rushed to the window and peered out. Far off, moving through the trees, were shapes too tall for humans, too smooth for animals. They had come. The snow stopped falling, but the silence was worse than any storm. Jaren stood at the window, not blinking. His breath fogged the glass as he stared out into the white forest. Something had moved, tall, smooth, not human. And now the trees were still again, too still. Behind him, Lyra held Zelly close, wrapping the girl in layers of blanket. Her eyes didn't leave Jaren's back. He turned away from the window and picked up his old blaster. He checked the charge. Only 2 full shots left? It would have to be enough. Go under the floor, Jaren said. Lyra looked confused.
What?
He moved quickly to a wooden panel near the heater. He pulled it up, revealing a narrow space between the floor and the frozen ground. You and the girl hide here now. Lyra didn't argue. She slid into the space, holding her daughter tightly. Jaren lowered the panel and covered it with a rug. He stood over it, breathing slow, calm. Then knock, knock, dot, this time. The knock wasn't gentle. Jaren walked to the door, blaster behind his back. He opened it slowly. 2 aliens stood outside. They were tall, wearing dark armor that shimmered like oil. Their faces were hidden behind smooth silver masks. Snow clung to their boots. Their bodies gave off no heat, no sound. The one on the left spoke. The voice was strange, mechanical, cold, human. We track a criminal, female, with child.
Patterns.
Face stayed blank. I live alone. The second alien stepped forward. We scanned warmth. 3 life signs. Jaren didn't flinch. You scanned wrong. It's just me and the heater. The first alien tilted its head. Then, without warning, it stepped inside. Jaren didn't stop it. He kept his grip on the blaster hidden behind him, watching closely. The alien walked slowly, scanning the room with a red beam from its mask. It stopped near the heater. It looked at the rug. Jaren moved closer, heart pounding. You done here? The second alien stepped inside too. Both stood silently. Then one of them spoke again. She warmed your bed, didn't she? Jaren didn't answer. He stepped forward, eyes hard. There's no one here. Got 2 seconds to leave or I'll make your masks part of the wall. For a long moment, the aliens didn't move. Then without a word, they turned and walked out. Jaren slammed the door shut. He locked it and dropped the metal bar across it. Only then did he breathe again. He pulled up the rug and opened the floor panel. Lyra crawled out, her arms still wrapped around Zelly. The girl was shaking. Her eyes glowed slightly. They're not gone, Lyra said. Never leave that fast. I know, Jaren replied. They're watching us now. Sat down and rubbed his forehead. They knew, he said. They felt her. Lyra nodded slowly. She gives off energy, even when asleep. Jaren stared at the girl. Then we don't have much time. Suddenly Zelly made a strange sound. Her hand twitched. The metal spoon on the table floated again higher this time. Then it burst into flame. Lyra gasped and grabbed her hand. Ah! Stop, Zelly, you're not ready. The fire vanished. The spoon dropped, melted and black. Zelly whimpered and curled into her mother's chest. Jaren stood in silence. Then he walked to the wall, pulled a hidden switch, and opened a panel. Inside were old gear maps, tools, wires, and explosives. Lyra looked up. You used to be a fighter? Long time ago? Jaren said. I hoped I'd never need this stuff again, but now, he looked at her. Now we prepare. Outside the wind picked up again, and high above them, hidden in the clouds, a second ship hovered larger than the first. Inside it, a dark figure stared at a screen showing Jaren's cabin. He pressed a button and spoke just 3 words. Begin the hunt. Asterisk, the cabin was quiet, but something in the air had changed. It wasn't the cold, it was the pressure heavy. Invisible, sitting on their shoulders like a silent storm waiting to break. Zelly hadn't opened her eyes in an hour. But the furniture around her had begun to tremble. First the spoon, then the chair. Now, a small tool on the shelf was floating, spinning slowly, glowing faintly red. Jaren stood beside the heater, staring. His hand was near his blaster, but he didn't touch it. Lyra sat on the bed, her arms tightly around Zelly. "She's not doing it on purpose," Lyra whispered. "I know," Jaren said. "But how far will it go?" Zelly's body was hot to the touch, but she wasn't burning. Her skin glowed with strange patterns, like stars were trapped inside her veins. "She's changing," Lyra said. "Her energy is waking up." Jaren stepped back as a cup near the sink rattled and exploded into shards. "That energy, it could kill us." Lyra nodded, eyes full of fear. "If we can't calm her?" "Yes," Jaren paced. "Tell me everything now." "What is she?" Lyra looked at her daughter, then at Jaren. "Years ago, my people stole DNA from humans, from soldiers, scientists, survivors. Why, they wanted power. But human DNA has something alien DNA does not: emotion, compassion, unpredictable, strength." Jaron narrowed his eyes. "So they built her?" "No, she wasn't made in a lab. She was born by accident. During an escape. I was pregnant and didn't know, so she's not just some test subject. She's real." Lyra nodded. "She's the only one like her. Others failed, she lived." Zelly groaned in her sleep. The wall behind her cracked slightly. Dust fell. Jaren stared at the damage. "She's going to rip this cabin apart." "No," Lyra said. "She just needs balance. You help her. May she was calm near you. She trusts you." Jaren knelt by the bed. Slowly, he reached out and touched Zelly's hand. The moment their skin touched, the glow in her veins softened. The objects around the room dropped back to the floor. The air pressure vanished. Zelly's breathing eased. Her body relaxed. Jaren pulled his hand back in shock. "What did I just do?" "You grounded her," Lyra said. "You balanced her energy. She connects with you. She's never had a father. She sees something in you. Maybe she chose you." Before Jaren could answer, a sharp sound pierced the Era scanner pulse. He ran to the window. A red dot moved across the trees. A beam of light scanned the snow-covered ground. Jaren's voice was low. "They're here again. And they're not knocking this time." Lyra stood up, her legs shaky. "We have to run." Jaren shook his head. "If we run in the open, we're dead. They'll find us in seconds." Lyra stepped back toward her daughter, holding her again. "What then?" "We fight," Jaren said. From a hidden drawer, he pulled out 2 old landmines, then an electric wire coil, then a remote detonator. "I used to protect outposts before the collapse. I still remember how." Lyra stared at the gear. "You kept all this?" "I kept what I thought I'd never need again." He looked out the window. "Looks like I was wrong." Outside, the red light vanished, but the shadows didn't. Jaren placed one mine by the front door, another at the edge of the back window. He stretched the wire across the wall, linking the heater's energy coil to a defense loop he built long ago, but never used. Lyra stood beside him. "They won't stop." "Even if we win," I know, Jaren said. "But if we lose, she dies. And I won't let that happen." Zelly suddenly opened her eyes. They glowed gold now, not blue. Not red dot gold, like a rising sun. She looked at Jaren. Her lips moved softly. "Don't be scared," she whispered. "I'm not." Then she pointed to the wall behind him. Jaren turned. Just in time to see the security monitor flash red. They were already here. The red light on the monitor didn't blink, glowed steady now. That meant one thing: the enemy was already inside the perimeter. Jaren didn't panic. His hands moved fast, placing the detonator on his belt, loading his old blaster, and sliding an energy blade into his boot. He was no soldier anymore, but his body remembered everything. Lyra stood by the bed, clutching Zelly. The girl's eyes were closed again, but her skin still shimmered softly with gold light. "They're here," Jaren said. "Too close for escape now." Lyra looked toward the window. "How many?" Jaren checked the thermal sensor. 3. No, 4. Coming from both sides. Lyra's grip tightened. "Can't fight that many. We don't have to win," Jaren said calmly. "We just have to survive." Outside, the crunch of snow echoed closer. Heavy boots. No words. Just movement. Jaren raised one hand to Lyra. "Stay quiet, no matter what." He crept to the front window, just enough to peek outside. One alien moved past the tree's doll, armored, dark-skinned, under the silver mask. Another followed, holding a plasma spear. The third wasn't walking, it hovered. Its body floated just above the snow, smooth and silent. It was a hunter class, rare, fast, deadly. Jaren's mouth went dry. Behind him, Zelly whispered, "Half asleep, they want me." "I know," Jaren said without turning, "but they'll have to go through me." First. The first one reached the porch. Jaren waited 1 second. 2 boom. The landmine exploded, sending fire and smoke through the door. Metal shrieked. Something screamed. The wall shook. Lyra gasped. Jaren didn't stop. He kicked open the back window where the second mine was waiting. As the next alien stepped into view boom, the ground lit up. Fire spilled into the trees. But the third one, the floating one, didn't fall. It flew straight toward the house, breaking through the sidewall like a missile. Jaren was ready. He grabbed the energy blade from his boot and swung. The blade sliced across the floating alien's mask, cracking it. Blue sparks flew, shrieked, a high-pitched digital sound that rattled the walls, but it didn't fall. It rushed Jaren, slamming into him. They hit the floor hard. The blaster flew from Jaren's hand. Alien's sharp fingers stabbed at his chest. Jaren twisted, rolled, punched. The alien's arm cracked. He grabbed the edge of the broken mask and ripped it off. Underneath was no face. Just a swirling light like a tiny star trapped in a cage. It pulsed once and sent a shockwave through the room. Lyra screamed. The furniture shook. The heater blew out. But Jaren didn't stop. He grabbed a wire from the broken wall and shoved it into the core behind the alien's neck. Zap! The thing shook violently, then went still. Smoke curled from its back. It fell hard. Jaren rolled away, gasping. For air, his chest was bleeding. His hands burned. But he was alive. So was Zelly. Lyra ran to him, pulling him back. "You're hurt." Breathing, he coughed. Outside, the snow was still falling, but slower now. The red light on the monitor turned off. No more enemies. For now. Lyra held his hand. "You saved us." "No," Jaren said, his voice weak. "We're not safe yet." He looked at Lel. She stood on the floor now, barefoot, still glowing, and the air around her was bending like the space itself was listening to her heartbeat. Lyra saw it too. Her power was growing faster. She just saw someone. "Almost kill me," Jaren said. "Maybe. She's waking up because of me." Zelly looked at them both. Then she spoke clearly for the first time. "They'll come again. Bigger ones. They know I'm here." Lyra's voice shook. "We'll run." Zelly shook her head. "No more running. You ran enough, Mama." She turned to Jaren. "I'm strong now, but I need you close." Jaren blinked. "Why me?" "'Cause," she said softly, "when you touched me." The storm inside me went quiet. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "You're more than a fighter, Jaren," she said. "You're what keeps her human." Outside, far beyond the trees, a new shape appeared in the sky. A ship 20 times larger than the ones before. Its lights turned on. Its guns began to charge. Asterisk, the sky was no longer dark. The giant ship above the forest lit everything trees. Snow, even the roof of Jaren's broken cabin. Its lights were not warm. They were cold, blue, and sharp like the eyes of something that had come to finish what the others had failed to do inside. Jaren stood with a torn shirt, blood on his ribs, and a weak grip on his blaster. Beside him, Lyra held Zelly's hand. The girl was glowing again, but not like before. Now the glow pulsed with every beat of her heart. Slow, steady, strong. Jaren looked out the shattered window. That ship. Ta. It's not just here to capture her. Lyra nodded. They're going to burn the whole area? They'll kill anyone who saw her power, Jaren said. Even me. No, Zelly said softly. Not if I stop them first. Lyra turned sharply. No, you're not ready. I'm tired of running, Zelly said, voice calm. I feel it now. The power isn't wild anymore. It listens to me when he's close. She looked at Jaren. He looked right back at her. You're just a kid. Zelly stepped forward, glowing brighter. I'm more than a kid. You know that? Outside, the giant ship sent down a BEMA scanner, sweeping across the trees. They're targeting, Jaren said. 30 seconds, maybe less? Lyra grabbed his arm. Take her and go. I'll stay and distract them. No, Jaren said firmly. That's suicide. I don't care, she said. She's all I have. But Zelly reached out and held both their hands. You don't understand, she said. I don't just need protection anymore. I need you both. Light in her skin grew soft like candlelight in a dark room. I'm strong now. But I'm stronger with you. Jaren's voice cracked. What do you want us to do? Stand beside me, Zelly said. Don't run. Don't hide. Lyra stared at her daughter, eyes full of fear. But what if they kill us? Up at the massive ship, her small body straightened. The snow around her feet began to melt. The broken walls of the cabin hummed with energy. Then we make it cost them everything. Jaren exhaled slowly. He walked over to the center of the room, knelt beside her and placed both hands on her shoulders. I'm here, he said. Lyra joined them, kneeling on the other side, wrapping her arms around Zelly and Jaren both. We stand together, she whispered. Zelly smiled. Her glow became brighter, no longer golden, but white, blinding, pure, outside. The giant ship fired its first energy blast, but it never reached the ground. The beam hit something, invisible and shattered, scattering. Like glass, a barrier made of light and heat had formed above the cabin, spreading outward, like a dome. It pulsed with Zelly's heartbeat, stronger with every second. Inside, Jaren felt the pressure building. You're lifting something, he said. Not just a shield. I'm lifting them too, Zelly said, eyes closed. Every memory they have of me, I'm burning it away. In the sky, alarms echoed from the enemy ship. Inside their command center, lights went red. Their system showed nothing where the cabin stood. No targets. No energy. Just a blank space. The captain screamed, She's rewriting the field. Shut it down. All systems shut down. But it was too late. With a final deep breath, Zelly opened. Her eyes and the entire sky flashed white. The ship above vanished gone in a silent burst of light. It's not even smoke left behind. Snow fell again, slow, soft, clean, inside the cabin. The three of them sat in silence. Jaren opened his eyes first. Is it over? Zelly smiled faintly. For now. Lyra kissed her daughter's forehead, tears falling down her cheeks. You saved us. You saved everything. Jaren stood and looked out the window. No fire, no noise. Just peaceful cold. He turned back. What happens now? Zelly stood up slowly. Now, we choose where to go next. The light from Zelly's body had faded, but the warmth remained. Outside, the snow looked untouched. No sign of the battle. No pieces of broken ships. No smoke. No noise. Just a quiet winter morning that felt like the world had never been in danger. At all, inside the small broken cabin, Jaren stood near the window watching the horizon. His blaster was still by the door. But for the first time in years, he didn't feel like he needed it. Lyra sat beside the heater, cradling Zelly, who was now sleeping deeply. Her glow was gone, but her breathing was steady. She's resting. Lyra said softly, She's okay. Jaren nodded slowly. I believe you. Lyra looked around at the cracked walls, the scorched rug, the half-melted furniture. We can't stay here. No, Jaren said. They'll come again. Maybe not tomorrow, but one day. Lyra's voice was quiet.
What?
Then what do we do? Jaren turned to her, his face serious. We leave.
What?
Together. Lyra blinked. You. I mean all of us, he said. I don't want you to hide anymore. I don't want her to live in fear. He knelt in front of Zelly and brushed a bit of snow dust from her cheek. She didn't just survive. She won. And we owe her more than a hiding place. Lyra smiled. But where will we go? Jaren walked over to a dusty crate in the corner. He pulled it open, revealing a folded map of old colony root sand, an access chip. I have something stashed, he said. An old ship. It's slow, rusty, and hates cold weather. Lyra raised an eyebrow. Like you, Jaren chuckled. Exactly, she stood, holding Zelly close. The girl stirred, slowly waking up. Zelly opened her eyes. No glow this time, just soft, tired brown. Are we leaving? Yes, Jaren said. Somewhere better. Zelly smiled, weak but peaceful. Do I have to hide again? Jaren shook his head. No, not anymore. You're not just someone to protect. You're the reason we keep going. Zelly looked up at him. Are you my dad now? Jaren's heart skipped. Lyra stepped beside them. Only if you want him to be. Zelly leaned her head against his chest. I do. Jaren didn't speak. He just wrapped his arms around her. Both of them, in that quiet moment, no one felt like a stranger. They weren't a soldier, a fugitive, or a strange glowing child anymore. They were a family. Later that night, deep in space, a dark room flickered with red lights. Figures stood alone, watching a broken stream of data fail to reconstruct what had happened in the forest. A computer voice spoke slowly. Subject unknown. Memory records erased. Traces deleted. To come unexplained. Figure turned. You let them go? No, the voice answered. She let us live. The figure stared at the star map, at the small dot once marked as cleared, and whispered, we feared the humans for their fire, but this is something else, like on the ship. Jaren sat in the pilot seat. Lyra was asleep in the co-pilot chair, curled in a blanket. Zelly stood by the window, watching the stars. As they jumped into hyperspace, she smiled. They won't find us, she whispered. Not until we want to. Be found. And behind Haran, the ship wall, her small hand had unknowingly left a faint glowing mark. A spiral. Alive.